week 17 of the fantasy football season. He has a few wide receivers I have his sleepers this week in championship week. The first receiver, Chimere DK of the Tennessee Titans. So DK, the number one option in the passing game, in my opinion. We saw Calvin Ridley go down many weeks ago, and he's been out for the season and not coming back, obviously. So pretty much it's down to DK and Alec Maynor in this receiving room for this Tennessee Titan team. In the last few weeks for DK, week 14 at the Browns, 5 catches, 28 yards, a touchdown. Week 15 at the Niners, 4 catches, 17 yards. And week 16, it was a decent game versus the Chiefs. 3 catches, 40 yards, a touchdown on 5 targets. So this week, middle of the pack matchup, New Orleans coming in. I know New Orleans, their defense has definitely improved over the last month of the season, and they're playing good football. But obviously, if this is a game script where they're going to be trailing once again, is this Tennessee Titan team, and DK's operating as the number one wide receiver. I think he could go out there this week and have another decent game. Anywhere from 10 to 15 fantasy points is a possibility as a sleeper option, and he's out there in 85% of fantasy leagues. Next receiver, Matt Collins of the New England Patriots. So with Kayshon Bode in concussion protocol and most likely not playing, and Demario Douglas not doing much over the last few weeks here, I think Matt Collins, he could step into a decent role now with this New England Patriot team behind Stephon Diggs, who's the number one receiver there, make some plays, especially he's a deep ball threat. And we know Drake May's the type of quarterback that spreads that football out. So this week it is a good matchup at the New York Jets, a defense that can't stop anyone. Obviously, they traded away their top 3 defenders, Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, Michael Carter at the NFL trade deadline. And Matt Collins, like I said, he's been a deep ball threat this season. Week 13 versus the Giants, 3 catches, 23 yards. Week 15 versus the Bills, 4 catches, 41 yards, 8 targets. In week 16, a good ball game at the Ravens, 7 catches, 69 yards on 9 targets. So going back to week 11 on that Thursday night versus Shit team, he had 4 catches, 64 yards. And I think something similar to that we could see Matt Collins get. And like I said, the Shit defense isn't a good defense. And also as well, Matt Collins is going to get more work with Kayshon Bode, most likely not playing this week. So he's definitely a sleeper this week, and he's out there in 96% of fantasy leagues. And the final receiver, Adam Thielen of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Adam Thielen, he was signed a few weeks ago by the Steelers team. He's out there as well in tons of leagues in 97%. And now with DK Metcalf suspended a couple games, someone's going to have to step up in that receiving room. And we know Thielen, he's a good route runner still at the latter part of his career. We know Aaron Rodgers, he likes his veteran wide receivers. We've seen it throughout his career. So week 14 at Baltimore, in his first game with the Steelers, a catch 4 yards. Week 15 versus the Dolphins, a catch 7 yards. And then last week, in more of an expanded role at the Lions, 4 catches, 49 yards. So this week, a matchup at the Cleveland Browns where it looks like Denzel Ward's questionable at best to play in this game, where he missed last week's game. Great corner is Denzel Ward. But Adam Thielen, like I said, someone's going to have to step up in the receiving room this week for the Steelers team, and I definitely think Thielen has an opportunity for that. Like I said, last week, he had more playing time. He made a couple plays, and Rodgers likes getting that football to the veterans, that he trusts them more than the younger players. That's a few wide receivers. I have his sleepers for week 17 of the fantasy football season.